this one. Too much applause. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. I am Sam Kirkland. I use he. Too much applause. I use he, him pronouns. Every year, I lead a service to honor the birthday of my beloved mother, and today is that day. Our opening hymn is How Can I Keep From Singing? Please rise in body or spirit and sing with us. The words will appear on the screen. Life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me flows? Songs of the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since His arm dwells in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when hymns of joys go far and near, how can I keep from singing? Prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? Please remain standing for our chalice lighting. Oh, good morning. Good morning. I'm Benjie Messer, music director. My pronouns are he, him. Please join me as we recite our covenant and Reverend Christine dance. Fresh back from sabbatical. Applause
Light
appropriate.
Our chalice. If you're watching remotely and you have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Love
Is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant.
Please be seated, everyone.
Again, welcome. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, one that is theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. It's good to see you all. It's very nice to see you from up here. I hope our worship today is a source of inspiration, a comfort in challenging times, and a call to action. If you're new here, we're very glad that you found us. I have a few announcements for you before our service begins in earnest. First, if you would like to know more about Unitarian Universalism and our congregation, please join us after the service in room 15 for a session called Get to Know UUCP. Room 15 is at the very end of the long curving hallway, so you just pass the bathrooms and keep on going. Also, this afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m., our own Sandy Weir invites you to join her in packing heat relief kits for folks that are struggling with to survive the heat. That's not happening here. It's at Shepherd of the Hills UCC Church, but Sandy is going on behalf of our civic engagement team, and you're welcome to go with her. She's right there. You can chat with her if you want more information. And finally, just announcements about upcoming services. As you saw, Rev. Christine is back in the building next week. Our worship associates will lead a service about how the sabbatical has been, and the week after will be Rev. Christine's first Sunday preaching, and we will invite her up a little later in this service for some other things. So now, to open our service, Sam, please give us our opening words.
Gadgets and gizmos galore. Our opening words are from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Death is but a transition from this life to another existence where there is no more pain and anguish. All the bitterness and disagreements might vanish, and the only thing that lives forever is love. I now invite anyone who would like to come forward for Together Time, and it's a somewhat revealing story.
And while we're gathering our community together, let's acknowledge our Zoom folks, all those who are watching on the Zoom meeting. Please turn on your cameras if you're willing, Zoom folks. It's good to see you. It's good to know that you're with us. Everyone feel free to wave or heart to the camera. Thank you all.
Okay. I said I was going to try to do this story Katie Resendez style, but I'm 68. I need a device. Thank you, Mae. I'm assuming, Mae, that means you didn't think I was 65, 68? 68. You did? Darling, bless your heart. Okay. I was so flummoxed, I lost my place. I love you, Benjie. Okay. I met my best friend, Carrie Renee Turman, on my first day of 7th grade at the Post Junior High School in Detroit, Michigan. We were both 12 years old, and believe it or not, I was a bit regimented in my views about correct first day of class protocols. And if Kerry were able to offer his opinion, he'd probably say I was a bit selfish at that age. Our friendship had the inauspicious. Anybody know what inauspicious means? I pretend I do. Okay, that's close enough. I had the inauspicious. What does that mean? It means like it wasn't really a good thing. It kind of like it could have been better. So yeah. Yeah. It wasn't sad though. It was, it was kids, So, every time I turn away, it goes to another part. Oh, this is not how Katie would do this.
You got it, Sam.
I have a trimmer.
But that's because Katie can't read, so it's different.
Benjie, I'm sorry. Would you?
I would. I'm going to just hold it for you.
Our friendship had the inauspicious beginning of Carrie asking to borrow a pencil from me on the very first day of class in Mrs. Arlington's homeroom class. In the heady rationale of a newly minted 7th grader, I believed, quite judgmentally, that if you didn't have supplies on the first day at a new school, that clearly it was a you problem. And certainly not something that I was going to be party to. Everything I knew about life until then was about to change over the course of our friendship of many decades. Carrie and I quickly became best friends because we loved this group, the Jackson 5. Oh my God, we were the biggest Jackson 5 fans, males, that I knew. It was generally agreed that females could, just scream and holler for the Jackson 5, but me and Carrie, we had to kind of grunt and, we held it in. All right. So, James Bond movies, Asian martial arts movies, sharing of his dear mother, Clara Turman, Mrs. T, who adopted me and just basically she was just one of the best people I could know. And so Carrie was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. He's the godfather of my oldest daughter, Daryl. And Carrie had a 33-year career as a traveling bass player for the world-famous Temptations. Anybody know a Temptation song, right quick? I love Benjie. Benjie is on. So, even though it started out really rocky with me being kind of selfish, and Carrie would regale people with that story for decades. Michelle, she's heard it from Carrie. I asked Shannon. Shannon said she hadn't heard it, but I told her, so now she has heard it too. So, but I was very, I was kind of tightly wound, but all my pencils were sharpened. I was ready for the day, and I felt like, hey, look, you got your own role to play in this, and it's not me. So, anyway, he became my best friend. We laughed. We did significant things. We went to the Martin Luther King rally to help it become a holiday after seeing Stevie Wonder perform at the Cobo Hall in Detroit. And he was he couldn't drive a stick shift, but he drank a whole lot of coffee and decided that he was going to be the person to keep the driver awake. So, which made him really kind of tightly wound. But I loved him. And Carrie made his transition April the 23rd, 2017, and his generous spirit will forever cast a shadow on all the souls and lives that he touched. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Christine.
Folks, you're all welcome to stay up at the front or to return to your seats. Each week, we take an offering here at the UU Congregation of Phoenix, and each week we split that offering between our congregation, it's an important source of income for us, and a cause that shares our values. And this month is a little different, actually. We will be splitting the offering this month not with an organization, but with a family. I'll stand for this. It's the family of Hala Halal. Hala and her family live in Gaza, and she is raising funds to evacuate and move to Canada. Hala hopes to return home someday, but right now she wants to bring her family somewhere where they can have better lives, away from war. She wants health care for her mother, education for her children, the possibility of a career for herself, and of course, more chance of safety and survival. The cost of crossing the border into Egypt from Gaza, flying to Canada, and surviving in Canada for the first month without a job is pretty significant. So she set up a fund. That's what we're inviting you to contribute to. I found Hala through an organization called Gaza Champions, which is a mutual aid network. And so Gaza Champions stays connected with families in Gaza, and they personally confirm that every fund that they represent is true and real and portrayed accurately, but they don't take any of the funding. They just connect you directly to the funds of families. So that's what we're collecting for this month, and we would love if you would give generously. But for all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you for helping us pass the plate.
I'm back. Okay. Thank you. So how many people don't have any idea who I am? Hi, it's so nice to meet you all. I am the Reverend Christine Dance, and I am so honored to be returning as the minister to this incredible, incredible congregation. I have been on a 5-month sabbatical, and I am refreshed and ready for a great year as your minister. I'd like to invite Katie Resendez up here with me. Okay, you guys have increased your clapping a lot since I've been gone, haven't you? We're going to tone that back down maybe a little bit.
Not today.
Not today. So at UUCP, we honor employees who have reached significant milestones with us. This summer, Katie Resendez completed her 10th year of employment and service at UUCP. As our Director of Children's Ministry, Katie has one of the most innovative and inclusive religious education programs in our denomination. She is often called on by our denomination to advise, to review, and to mentor. She is passionate about our summer kids camp, which models our UU values in a really in-depth way. Kids camp. But more than that, Katie is such an integral part of our UUCP team. She is often our moral compass here, calling out things that don't seem to be aligned with our values and calling us back into covenant. She is a valuable member of our worship team, always working with us to make holistic and dynamic services. She is a great advocate for community. If there's fun community things happening, it was probably Katie's idea. And she is a wonderful ideator and thought partner for me. We give you this certificate, and we give you some money. And can you all join me in thanking Katie for her 10 years of service? Thank you. And while I'm up here, I get to do joys and sorrows.
Keep you working.
Keep me working. So each week, we invite members of our congregation to share significant milestones in your life with the congregation, whether they are joys or sorrows. To do that, you can fill out a card before the service at the small table at the back of the sanctuary, and we read them out loud. If you are on Zoom, then please put a note in the chat. So how many folks here are heading back to school either as a teacher or a student tomorrow? Yes. To all of our teachers and our students, we send you so many best wishes and love and strength. And this is from our children's ministry team, but also from all of us. Have a good school year. Today, Michelle and Sam share the joy of their daughter Shannon, Kirkland Morgan's birthday this past Wednesday. So happy birthday to Shannon. From Jade in our sound booth, Jade says, a joy and thanks to this UUCP community and the queer community. I now have 2 production company jobs, a new place in the Biltmore district, and safety after 7 months of violence and unemployment. We are so glad for you, Jade. And one from Katie Resendez. In addition to 10 years here at UUCP, she says, today I celebrate 20 years in the Valley of the Sun. I heart Phoenix so much. And from Emrys and Valeria, I saw Emrys, there's Emrys, say, we are so proud of Sol, our 5-year-old who started bilingual kindergarten on Thursday. Happy kindergarten, Sol. I do have, let me see if there's anything in the, yes. Lydia online says, my border collie Cleo lost her daddy on Wednesday at the ripe age of 15 and got skunked on the same day. So we're sending our love to Cleo, but also to you, Lydia, for all of that. Thank you for sharing. I do have 2 sorrows and concerns in our community. Victoria shares the sorrow that Val Wiley was hospitalized at John C. Lincoln this past week due to a stroke. She's expected to transfer to a rehab facility soon, and while she tires easily, she has enjoyed the visits this week and the Diet Coke from her close friends. She's had a number of visits and support from her UUCP family. We send her love and healing wishes. And Ellie Anderla, who I saw online earlier, also shares a sorrow. She hurt her back and is also at John C. Lincoln. She will be transferring to a rehab facility on Monday to recover, and she will welcome visitors when in rehab. So can we all just say hi to Ellie and get well soon? She's there on Zoom. We're wishing you a speedy recovery, and we send you all of our love. And now I turn it back over to Sam for the meditation, but we also acknowledge that so many of us are holding milestones in our hearts silently for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for our wider world, in our hearts and in our heads. Let these joys and sorrows remind us to notice each other, to ask about each other, and to care about each other.
I invite you into a time of meditation and prayer. Because grief and loss can change how you sit in the world, and because in full transparency, we didn't build into this service a second hymn, I'm going to ask you to stand up. If you choose. I know I had my Darth Vader thing going there for a second, but I'm sorry, okay? It comes out, it just comes out. All right. Take a look around our sanctuary at as many members of our beloved community as you can. Just take us in. Look into the nooks and crannies of our sanctuary, then sit back down and share a few collective breaths with me before I share a few words by Jack Kornfield about the impact of grief in our lives. Grief is one of the heart's natural responses to loss. When we grieve, we allow ourselves to feel the truth of our pain, the measure of betrayal or tragedy in our life. By our willingness to mourn, we slowly acknowledge, integrate, and accept the truth of our losses. Sometimes the best way to let go is to grieve. It takes courage to grieve, to honor the pain we carry. We can grieve in tears or in meditative silence, in prayer or in song, in touching the pain of recent and long-held griefs. We come face to face with our genuine human vulnerability. With helplessness and hopelessness, these are the storm clouds of the heart. Most traditional societies offer ritual and communal support to help people move through grief and loss. We need to respect our tears. Without a wise way to grieve, we can only soldier on, armored and unfeeling. But our hearts cannot learn and grow from the sorrows of the past. To meditate on grief, Okay. To meditate on grief, let yourself sit alone with a comforting friend or in this sanctuary filled with beloved community. Take the time to create an atmosphere of support. When you are ready, begin by sensing your breath. Feel your breath in the area of your chest. This can help you become present to what is within you. Take one hand and hold it gently on your heart as if you were holding a vulnerable human being, because you are. As you continue to breathe, bring to mind the loss or pain you are grieving. Let the story, the images, the feelings come naturally. Hold them gently. Take your time. Let the feelings come layer by layer, a little at a time. Keep breathing softly, compassionately. Let whatever feelings are there, pain, tears, anger, love, fear, sorrow, even joy or humor, come as they will. Touch them gently. Let them unravel out of your body and mind. Make space for any images that arise. Allow the whole story. Breathe and hold it all with tenderness and compassion, kindness for all, for you and for others. The grief we carry is part of the grief of the world. Hold it gently. Let it be honored. You do not have to keep it in anymore. You can let it go into the heart of compassion. You can weep. Releasing the grief we carry can be a long, tear-filled process, yet it follows the natural intelligence of the body and heart. Trust it. Trust the unfolding. Along with meditation, some of your grief will want to be written, to be cried out, to be sung, to be danced. Let the timeless wisdom within you carry you through grief and awaken a tender, open heart. Keep in mind that grief doesn't just dissolve. Instead, it arises in waves, and gradually, with growing compassion, there comes more space around the grief. The heart opens, and in its own time, little by little, gaps of new life break in, the rain clouds appear. Gaps of life break in when the rain clouds appear. The body relaxes and freer breaths appear. This is a natural cycle you can trust. How life and the heart renews itself. Like the spring after the winter, it always does. Amen and blessed be. You don't have to clap after meditation. Thank you.
Bear with me, church. So for many years now, I've led a service over the summer near my dear mother, Johnny Jordan Matthews' birthday, July the 14th, that was dedicated to her. My hope has been to amplify the love in this room, in the spiritual hope that my mom and now my dad can hear the frequencies our love generate collectively. This Okay. This year and in years past, I sought out members of our beloved community who would be willing to share the powerful impact of transition through loss, and you will be hearing from them in a bit. On the screen, Peyton, thank you, are some of the people that I'm remembering today. I decided to include photos not just of my mother, Johnny, and my father, Samuel, but also to share images of Michelle's devoted father, Joseph, our eclectic, and stylish Aunt Vade, and my maternal grandmother, Janice, who form a pantheon of people who loved me and my family unconditionally. This year, I also included an incredible friend, Donna Rose, who recently transitioned entirely too soon. The song I want to sing to honor them this year is Company. It's composed by Ricky Lee Jones. However, the version that I've been humming and singing for years is by Diane Reeves. And before I go any further, I'd like to thank my friend and worship associate and my minister of music, Benjie Messer. He can't clap because his fingers are on the piano keys, so yes. For all that he does to make this wonderful service come together. I'd also like to thank all the folks who agreed to share reflections this year, and I'm going to ask them as they begin their remarks to introduce themselves. I'd also like to thank Peyton and Jade and Lynn for all they do to make this place our technical as well as spiritual home. Okay. I'll remember you too clearly, but I'll survive another day. Conversations to share when there's no one there. I'd imagine what you'd say. I'll see you in another life. I'll free you in my dreams. But when I reach out across the galaxy, I will miss your company. I'll be looking for company, looking at all this through the years. Someday you will hear me still crying. I'll be crying for your company. Ooh, I'll be crying for your company. So now we're going off to live our lives. Maybe we'll see each other now and again, but we'll never, never, never be the same. And I know I'll never have this chance again. No, not with you. I'll see you in another life. when I reach across the galaxy, I will miss your company. I'll be looking for company, looking at all this through the years. Someday you will hear me. I'll be crying, I'll still be crying for your company. Ooh, I'll be crying for your company. Ooh, I'm still crying for your company.
My name is Gary Ezel, he, him, and I will be speaking today about Marshall Smart. And before I do, I have a request. It may not be necessary, and if so, forgive me. But there'll be mine and several other remembrances. And that's not the occasion for applause. So, I'm speaking today of Marshall Smart. I first got to know Marshall in 1999 when my wife and I first came to Arizona, and I started attending here, UUCP, right away, and also started hiking with the outdoor group, as it was called then. The group would go out twice a month to hike somewhere in the state. We went all over, and Marshall and Julie were a big part of that. And I got to know them because after each hike, we would have a meal and conversation. And that was a big part, and we did this for 25 years. Now, we also did a number of other things together, and that's really how I got to know Marshall and Julie most closely. We had a lot of adventures together. In 2002, along with Bob Olson, Marshall and I made it up Mount Rainier. It just about killed me, but I did it. And then later, along with Julie and others, we did a hike up Mount Kilimanjaro. That took several days, and it was an excellent experience. We rafted down the Grand Canyon, 18 days, not motorized, with no motors and no electronics, no phones, not even watches. And that was an extraordinary experience. Marshall and I learned that it's best to go through the rapids in the raft. I say we learned that. We must have been slow learners because it happened to us twice. And then there was the time that Jan Kaplan invited Marshall and I to join their women's group, which is called Not All Women Are Wimps, to go to a rim-to-rim hike through the Grand Canyon. And for that event, Jan and Helen, yeah, it goes well. They installed Marshall and I as honorary women. Now, I am not at liberty to divulge the nature of that ceremony, but suffice it to say, it worked and we made it through. And Marshall got through a whole lot faster than I did. And through all of this time, we were having meals and conversation together. Now, Marshall mostly let Julie do the talking. Marshall, a lot of energy, but a quiet, controlled, relaxed kind of guy. When he wasn't going, he was relaxed. But when it was time to go, he went. Highly energetic, but not fidgety, right? Controlled. And the energy was applied in other important ways. He volunteered a lot. One of the things he did was to volunteer at Mayo Clinic Hospital, where a lot of the times what he would do is to be delivering medication from the pharmacy up to the clinical floors. He called that pushing drugs. But beyond all that, Marshall was warm and considerate and always self-effacing. He never, ever was, he was never sure of it isn't the word I want. He was never full of himself. That's why you write things down. He and Julie have had so many friends, and you can tell a lot about a person by the friends they leave behind. So, Marshall turned 80 in April, and you can bring up that first picture. And he died very suddenly on the 1st of May, so this was a big surprise. But here he is on the birthday celebration that we did at a campsite outside of Sedona that day. He's wearing an inflatable gold crown that Jan Kaplan provided, and also that wool cap and coat because it was chilly that night. And then I'll leave you with one more photo. I wanted to share this picture of Marshall doing a hike on a side canyon through the Grand Canyon, in the Grand Canyon. And that is how Marshall lived his life, arms wide open and joyous. And that's how we will remember him.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Lifshitz. My pronouns are she, her. And I gotta say, this is one of my favorite services that I look forward to every year that Sam does. So when he asked me if I wanted to do a reflection about my dad, I thought, yeah, absolutely, that'll be easy. I was wrong. How can I possibly talk about my dad, who was larger than life, in a short reflection? So I decided to pick 3 traits and talk about those. So the first one has to be dad jokes. My dad was the king of dad jokes. I think I may have sprained my eyeball muscles rolling my eyes at him when I was an angsty teen. And no one laughed at his jokes more than he did. Maybe Johnny, I don't know. My dad's laugh was so infectious. It was this jolly belly laugh. And then at the end, as he was gathering his breath, he would sigh, ah, shoot. I can hear that in my mind so clearly to this day, and it always makes me smile. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is respect. My dad was part of the generation of, you respect your elders no matter what. That's that. Not so with my dad. I respect my dad so much because he never demanded it. He strove to earn people's respect. He was a salesman by trade, and he was successful because he had this way of genuinely connecting with people. And then he would sneak in a joke or two. My brothers and I have many friends who also called my dad, Dad, and would come to him for advice because they respected him so very much. And finally, selfless. My dad never put himself first. We were not well off by any means, but when he did splurge on something, it was for my mom or me or my brothers. Very rarely was it for himself. He worked long hours and still always made it to my competitions and performances. It was 20 years ago in February when I lost my dad. He woke in the middle of the night with chest pains. My mom called 911, and as EMTs were taking him to the ambulance, he said to my mom, "Don't call Carrie, she'll worry too much." He ended up dying 10 hours later from a thoracic aortic dissection, so he was in a lot of pain, and he was still more worried about me being worried about him. Now, I know I said I would talk about just 3 things, but I simply cannot end this without talking about his unconditional love. He loved fiercely. Dylan was 2 when my dad, his pap, passed away. He never got to meet Colin and Owen. Dylan adored my dad because even at 2 years old, he could see the love that he had. They had a connection that was an honor to watch grow, even if it was for a short time. I miss my dad so much. I see his spirit still, and that's how I try to keep him alive. I see his spirit with Johnny's dad jokes, in Dylan's quick wit, in Colin's persistence, and in Owen's determination. And that's how I try and keep him alive, by keeping his memories alive.
Ah, it's disappeared. Oh, here it is. Good morning. My name is Mike Gatorna, along with my wife Cindy, over on the far right there. Our son Sean transitioned 8.5 years ago at the age of 29 from cancer. Many emotions overwhelm us where there are no words to express what fills our minds. Our song today is reflective of those emotions. Composed by Lynn Kaufman, next to me here. It captures what Cindy and I do and think about when we trek to the mountain each year in honor of Sean. Joined today by our dear friend, Marilyn Rampley, and accompanied, of course, by the wonderful Benjie. We present I Climbed a Mountain.
I calmed my mind to see what's true. I breathed you in with the songs of birds and filled with peace. There are no words. I climbed a mountain
this out of the way. My name is Dale Fisher, and I'm going to tell you something in the history of my wife Lois that you may not know. I met Lois Ann Whalen in 1959 at Lexington High School. I was a senior, Lois a junior. I saw her in the corridor walking between classes, and I asked a friend to introduce us. Surprisingly, she agreed to meet me. Oh, I was a shy, quiet, serious student, and she, outgoing, popular, played sports, active in organizing school events. It began with walks after school to the local soda shop, then a first date at the drive-in theater, auspiciously playing the mating game. Senior girls were not pleased with the partnership, as senior boys were only supposed to date senior girls, not juniors. But the romance continued as I entered engineering college. Followed a year later by Lois in the business program at the same university. Lois found herself one of only a few girls in the program, and one male professor made the mistake of chiding her in front of the class that she should not be taking a space meant for men. As those of you who knew Lois can imagine, that did not sit well, and she left the next day. Later, she received a degree in early childhood education from Lesley College, beginning her lifelong work with the education of young children. We had long decided to marry as soon as I graduated. My heritage was Norwegian and English Protestant. Lois was 100% Irish Catholic. My parents were opposed, to say the least. Lois's widowed mother was supportive. In deference to her mother, we decided to be married in the Catholic Church. The elderly priest at Lois's church refused to marry us. So Lois found a young priest at a nearby church who reluctantly agreed, and we were married at a very small ceremony on September 19th, 1964. Lois's event organizing skills did not go to waste, and the first of a lifetime of hosting parties and dinners was at our apartment featuring a Greek theme. We had just returned from a trip to Italy and Greece, following the then popular travel book, Europe on $5 a day, because that was about what our budget was. We didn't attend any church again until 1970. Living then in Arlington, we were familiar with the First Parish UU Church, a 150-year-old landmark building in the center of town, and decided to try it out just once. After the service, however, we were guided by another young couple into the infamous coffee hour. Soon became active members and stayed for 25 years. It was here that Lois and two friends founded the Arlington Children's Center, the first preschool daycare in the area. Our family grew to include son Jason and daughters Jennifer and Leslie. And in 1995, we left Massachusetts winter behind for a life in Phoenix. We found UUCP, soon becoming active members. Lois found special reward in welcoming new attendees and paid particular attention to those who she felt looked a little lost. Sadly, on April 3rd, 2017,
3 years after our 50th wedding anniversary, Lois passed away. She and I had been together for 58 joyful years.
Well, hello, my name is Paula Atkins, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm the last one up here, but I just want to let you know that I'm the last surviving member of my entire immediate family. Even though my DNA comes from everywhere, as everyone does, those are the people that make you what you are. But it's the people that are in your life every day, from the time you're tiny until now, that have created the who you are. So I'd like to start with my very first mentor, my teacher, my very best friend, my grandfather, Reverend Charles Manker, from the First Unitarian Church in El Paso, Texas, where I was born. I had the privilege of spending a lot of my formative time with him, which of course my cousins were kind of jealous of, and he taught me everything there was to know about all the religions of the world while I sat patiently and listened to all of his sermons. He taught me tolerance and, of course, patience, and my moral compass for everything I had in my life. Next, I'd like to thank my parents who have passed on as well. They are lifelong Unitarians, and my mom and dad were actually met at a Unitarian banquet in El Paso, Texas. And my dad said to me, "You know what? It was love at first sight." And I believed him. They had a great marriage. See, my mother was one of the foremost fundraisers for this choir, for cabarets, and she did food and fun and fundraising to the maximum. She loved to dance and she loved to sing, and she was in the choir for many, many years. Her brother, Ray Manker, was the minister here when she first joined. My dad was a geologist originally, and then he turned into a science teacher. And as a result of my silly, funny, nutty professor of my dad, I am in love with crystals and rocks. But when we were little, we would all climb up on the roof, my mom and dad and my little brother Bert, and watch the stars and talk about the constellations and look for UFOs in the sky. Of course, you know all of the things that happen out there in El Paso, Texas in a warm summer night. And it was my dad who actually gave me the ability to be able to write my first science fiction novel. Lastly, I think I'd like to mention my husband, Stan Adkins. He was a wonderful guitar player, gifted musician, honored musician, actually, in Nebraska and South Dakota. He came into my life as if a prayer had been answered, because I had just divorced a very abusive, emotionally abusive husband of 13 years. He'd left me for his teenage mistress and left me broken, and my self-esteem shattered, my self-worth beyond control. My friend invited me to a wonderful Halloween masquerade ball, and Stan and his band were playing in a concert. And during the break, we were introduced, and he told me later on it was love at first sight, just like my dad said about my mom. He gave me back me. He gave me back my personality. He gave me back my strength of character. He would never allow me to say anything bad about myself. He said, "If you don't believe how beautiful you are, look into my eyes." We were married for about 40 years. We were together about 43. And we just laughed and loved for all those years, never having anything terrible except for some health issues. But it's my loved ones and others that have made me who I am today. And I'm very thankful for those who have crossed over, who gave me my influence, my lessons, my personality, and made up my heart and soul. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share my extended family here with you. I know that was a little bit much. And I wanted to let you know that it's very important for everyone to be kind to one another and to watch what you say to each other, because in the soul of the person that you're speaking to, it genuinely matters and it lasts forever. Thank you.
Thinking about Gary being out there on the river without devices and tablets and stuff, and I'm sitting up here in church, and I can't imagine getting through this sermon without my iPad right in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. Big thanks to Gary, Carrie, Mike and Cindy, Marilyn and Lynn, Dale and Paula, who shared so graciously and so generously today about their loved ones. Our closing hymn is from a musical called Forgotten, The Murder at the Fort Rouge. At its core, it's a musical based on a true story of a family's terrible loss, but it's also about heroes of the Detroit labor movement. However, as you will witness, it's also about honoring the spirit of our loved ones and our ancestors. I sang in this musical when it was produced, and it's being produced again in Detroit in October, and I'll probably be sitting in the audience having the time of my life. I always remembered this song in which the characters sing about remembering those who came before. We sing it now, the chorus repeats, and you'll get it pretty quickly. Near the end of the song, we will invite you to call out the names of your own ancestors and loved ones who have passed on. Anyone who has come to mind during today's service or who you'd like to have included here. If you are on Zoom, please type the names in chat, and my girl Carrie will read them out loud. Okay, Benjie. There are many places that cannot be filled. Sometimes something's torn down. You cannot rebuild what you gave. Cannot be replaced. We remember what you did that brought us to this place. We remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done will not be forgotten.
Try that, everyone.
We remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done will not be forgotten. There are many who brought us here, who held a dream. With vision clear, you have found peace. You will fight no more. We will keep alive what you stood for.
Everyone, we remember you. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. We remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. Here's the labor part. Joe Hill left us these words when he died. Do not mourn, organize. We remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. Feel free to lift up a name into the space now.
Thank you.
Of anyone you're thinking of.
Say it loud and proud. Bring their spirit into this service. Call their name. Invite them to attend. Sam and Dawson Kirkland.
You can keep calling him out. Let's stand, everyone, and sing this chorus together. We remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. Oh, we remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. One more time. We remember you. We remember you. What you gave, what you've done, will not be forgotten. After our service ends, the noon activities will be listed on the screen. We don't have refreshments for coffee hour during construction, but you're welcome to stay in the sanctuary for a coffeeless coffee hour and chat. Sam, please close our service.
Our closing words are from Joel Miller. Spirit of life and love, under the vast spiral of time and space, surrounded by the simple blessings of a community of care and love, we carry these memories of our beloveds with us back to the community and the life they lived. We pray, grant us strength, wisdom, and thanksgiving. Give us strength to speak of our lives so that each day yet to come, we find more compassion, more understanding, more of the loving kindness that fills our world with joy and laughter. Give us courage to cherish one another so that we use our lives to heal instead of forget, and lead ourselves to the possibility of forgiveness instead of defiance. And we give thanks for our beloved. Their memory lives on in this great spirit of life that surrounds us, and their memory, cherished by us, dwells deeply throughout us in the person they were and still are in our hearts. We celebrate all the cycles of life in which we find ourselves, celebrating life at its beginning and its end. both always present among us. Spirit of life, remind us to love life as fully as we are able. Remind us to treasure our friends and families as they treasure their friends and family. And even though we must bid them farewell, the gift of their life is a treasure that cannot be ungiven. We celebrate the lives of our beloved living among us, and while we miss them so very much, they live on in memory, spirit, and love. Go in peace, go in love.